Hi! When cutting layers for your handmade greeting cards, do you eyeball or do you measure? I'm going to share with you my measuring method that makes layering easy. Welcome to StampingSmiles.com. I'm Shelley Godby, the owner and CEO of Stamping Smiles, and for 16 years I've been teaching others how to create their own hand stamped smiles. So we're going to be making layers with one of the greetings from the Just Add Text stamp set, and then I'm going to show you the handmade greeting card I designed using it along with the Graceful garden set. Eyeballing will work when cutting your layers. I just find it a lot easier and more efficient if I have measurements. So you're designing your card and you know three things. You know you want to use this greeting. Next time you think of wonderful things, don't forget to count yourself from the Just Add Text stamp set. And you also know you want to use the Graceful Garden stamp set and the Petal Garden Designer Series paper. It's like, okay, so there we go, we start with that, and so our neutral color, because the designer series paper is white, so I've got Whisper White cardstock, and then I want my greeting to be in black because the rose I'm going to stamp is going to be outlined in black, and so I think this will look very good. So we're going to push, flip, and lock that into place. And I also know I want my greeting to be my focal point of my card, so it's going to be a decent size. I just don't know how large yet, so I start larger than it may be, okay? I can always cut down, we can't add to it. So let's go ahead and stamp this. Oh, looking oh so good. All right, so we're done with this. And I also know I want to use this pretty background from the Graceful Garden stamp set. And Old Olive, because it's one of the colors in the Petal Garden Designer Series paper. Okay, so push, flip. And I want to stamp this right over top of it. So all this happens right before you even get to the measuring part. So I'm going to ink this up. And Old Olive, it's a bold color, and my font, other than the wonderful things, it's not terribly big. And if I stamp this full strength, it's going to make it difficult to read. So what I have here is a piece of scratch paper, and I'm just going to stamp off. That's what the technique is called, to lighten the ink. Well, I know from designing this card, it was still too dark if I stamped it right now, so I'm going to do it one more time. Then I'm going to come right over top of this. And, ooh, isn't that pretty? So light enough that I can see the design, but dark enough to still be able to see that great design. Okay, so now we're looking at it going, wait a minute, I want to use the Petal Garden Designer Series paper. This is so big, it'll cover most of my card. So I need to trim it down. So that's when I grab my Stampin' trimmer. Okay, here we go. And we start trimming down. And what I do is I start taking from each side. So let's pull this. The cutting blade is the dark gray. We've got a cutting and scoring blade. Okay, so the first measurement, not so concerned, but now I start paying more attention, and I'm going to put it on either any quarter inch mark. So either a full number, a 1/4 inch, a 1/2 inch, a 3/4, or a full number. Because if I can do that, then layering is so easy. So let's go ahead and trim off some more. And I look at that and go, okay, it's getting a little bit smaller, so of course it's too wide from top to bottom, so let's do the same thing. Let's go ahead and cut some off, start trimming down. And I don't get crazy at first, a little bit at a time, till I get an idea of where I think I want to go with that. All right, I'm going to take some more. I'm going to bring this up to 2 3/4. I start looking at it going, okay, that's getting better, but I've got more white space than I want, so let's go ahead and do some more trimming. Like I said, at this point, I'm watching, and I'm liking I've got pretty much equal distance from side to side, so where are we? We're at 4 inches, so let's take this to 3 3/4 and butt it up against that top. There we go. And equal amount on the other side. Let's stop at 3 1/2. Oh, I'm liking that. Oh, looking really, really good. All right, so more than I want from top to bottom. And so let's do equal amounts. We're at 2, oh, no we're not. Where are we at? 2 3/4. So let's come to about right here. Oh, that's looking really good. Okay, so the 1/4 inch marks, they are my favorite, okay? It's not always possible to leave it at a 1/4 inch mark. Then I will do an 1/8 inch, 3/8. So those are the longer line between the 1/4 inch. You know, I will do those if the 1/4 inch just won't work for me. Okay, let's see where we're at. Let's trim off a little bit more. Still a little bit wider than I would like. Okay, let's come over here. So what do I have? I'm going to take this to 2 1/8 at this point, because I'm still on one of those marks, a 1/4 inch. You know, it's not a 1/4 inch, but it's a mark. Okay, let's take it down to 2 inches. So it's some fooling, but you'll see how easy the layers are after I get that done. Okay, I'm really liking this size. So like I said, I've got it down to 3 1/2 by 2, so I'm on one of the 1/4 inch marks. More than happy to use one of the 1/8 inch marks. I have to think a little bit more for layering, you know, by adding to it, but that's okay. Now, if I absolutely have to, I will use one of the smallest marks, one of the 1/16 inch marks. As long as I have a mark on here, then it makes adding the layers easier, and I'll show you how. Okay, because we know, we can look at this again. I always have a ruler with me. We know this is 3 1/2 by 2. Okay, so now layering is easy because we have that measurement. And what's typical is a 1/4 inch layer. So this is 3 1/2, so we'll put our basic black cardstock at 3 3/4. There we go. And then it's 2 inches. So we're going to do 2 1/4. We're adding a 1/4 inch for our layer. There we go. And so now look. When we layer that, so if you do a 1/4 inch larger piece, you get an 1/8 inch all the way around. And that's the typical size layer you see. So let's do it again. So now look how easy it is. Now had we eyeballed, what happens when you eyeball, you place, you know, you put this on here and then you're trying to cut around it. And you may be very good at that. I'm not, and so then I'll get one side too small and then I'm trying to trim them all down. Just so much more efficient for me if I have measurements. And if you're going to make more than one of the card, now that you have measurements, it makes it really easy to prepare your cardstock too. So this is 3 3/4 by 2 1/4. So let's just do another 1/4 inch, show you that again. So let's do 4. Oh, is 4 inches right? Oh, that one's already cut to size. Ha! Sometimes it works out when you grab your scrap pieces, right? And we had 2 1/4, so we're going to go to 2 1/2. And there we go. Let's put all of our pieces together. Looking oh so good. And that's how using measurements makes layering just really oh so easy. And then I promised to show you some cards that I made using this. Okay, so let's do that. Remember I told you with the Petal Garden stamp set. So here we go. I mean, the Petal Garden Designer Series paper, the Graceful Garden stamp set. Isn't that sharp? So then I was fooling around because I was telling you a 1/4 inch is the typical size layer. Well, sometimes I just want a little hint of color. So for this one, I cut the basic black to an 1/8 inch larger, which only gave us a 1/16 all the way around. If you're going to do a 1/8 inch layer, you have to be careful, and that's where measuring makes it so much easier. Because if it isn't even, it'll be really obvious on a, you know, a small border like that. But isn't that sharp? And so then I took the same with the 1/8 inch border, and this other one's a 1/4 inch, and look how much bigger it looks. And then sometimes a 1/2 inch. Look at this. Instead of, let me bring this back. Here I had the 1/4 inch all the way around. On this one, I did a 1/2 inch. I'm thinking I prefer this one. But if I got this in the mail, I'd think it was awful pretty too. So that's layering. Layering is so easy when you go ahead and measure. So look for my favorite, anything on a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4, or full mark. And then the 1/8 are my next favorite. But whatever you do, if you want it to be easy, make sure it ends up on one of the lines that you can measure so you can easily cut a larger layer If you'd like to get more of my stamping tips, I invite you to subscribe to the Stampers Insider. It's your free stamping source for inspiration, information, and ideas. Just go to www.thestampersinsider.com to subscribe now. I'm Shelley Godby, teaching you how to create hand stamped smiles. Thanks for watching.